This video will show you how to work with the Illustrator template that we're going to bring into Photoshop, and how to set up guides and work with patterns and clipping masks. So first of all, I've kind of organized a folder. Remember, folders are there to help you organize your assets. It's not as important as it was for the Illustrator document, so I don't really have a working folder here. I have just all the elements, because in the end I'll only give my client the Photoshop document, or a TIFF version of the Photoshop document. What I do need is a template to work with. This you can download from Teams, and we need to bring this into Photoshop. So actually, let me just start with Photoshop. I know that I need a new A3 document for this template to fit into, and the idea is that we're going to make we're going to construct the template, apply the pattern and all the information. Now I want to place that template inside my folder, but you'll find that the template itself will be grayed out. You won't be able to do that. You can't bring a template into another file. So I need to open this up in Photoshop. You can see it's just a very, very basic template. It has spaces for information. You can change this up. It doesn't have to look like this. You don't have to put your logo here. You put it somewhere else. But it's really to organize the space for the pattern, whether you put the pattern just on the front or on the whole package, which is more likely. But then to see where the main elements of the pattern will go here. Now I've carefully measured everything out, so it's very, very specific, but we're not actually going to do the work in Illustrator. I need another version of this document, so I'm just going to save it as an Illustrator document. Okay, so we'll call this template. And then I'm going to go to Photoshop. Remember, it's an A3 document. That's very important, or you'll shrink your template when you bring it in. Place embedded, and now I should be able to bring in that template, but I've saved it down here. Okay, that was just an accident. I meant to save it in that folder. So I'm just going to bring it in. Don't worry too much about what options you've got. We really are just using this as a basic guide to help us design. Now, as you can see, it's lost the guides, so I'm going to show you how to put the guides back in Photoshop. I'm going to show you a different way. Rather than just opening up rulers, so you've got view rulers, and then dragging in guides. Okay, we're actually going to use Photoshop to measure, but we don't have the transform bar like you do with Illustrator, so we're going to do it a different way. I'm going to set my first guides, a vertical and a horizontal, and do zoom in to check that you're absolutely accurate, because if you're anything like me, you will be out. So just make sure it's absolutely matching that corner there. Then I'm going to zero that corner. So at the moment you can see we're in the middle. The zero will be right at the edge of the document. I'm going to tell Photoshop that that intersection is 0. To help me do it, I'm also going to make sure that I have snapping switched on, and then I'm also going to make sure that snap to guides is switched on. We'll need that later on. This allows us to be really accurate with the measurements, and you'll feel the snapping. This would move about. Instead of pulling out the next one and measuring it along, because I've got no facility to do that, I could look at info, but it's pretty it's pretty simplistic, and it's very difficult to match the exact number here up here. And as you can see, as I'm moving the mouse around, it just moves around. So I'm just going to get rid of that. The way I'm going to do it is to say View, New Guide, and then tell the guide what position it's going to be in. Well, we know the first position is at 35 millimeters. What you do need to do is check that you are working in millimeters. So Photoshop Preferences, Units and Rulers, and just check that you're in centimeters or millimeters. So you could either have centimeters and do the sums, or change to millimeters. So I'm going to say New Guide. We want a vertical guide to come down here at 35 millimeters. So that's 3.5 centimeters. There's my first guide. I want a second one, so I'm going to zero this over here, which runs for 85 millimeters. .5 centimeters. And then you can measure this accurately by re-zeroing if you like, or you can just drag out your guide to the edge. I'm not going to make you watch me fill it all in. I'll just do the first one down here, perhaps two. So I'm going to, again, make sure that this is 0, and we're going to look at adding a new guide on the horizontal this time. So we want a horizontal guide, and the first position is 2.5 centimeters, 25 millimeters. Okay. Now, it's been carefully mapped out to match this edge here, because this corner will be folded in when we've finished. You need to remember that, again, the 170, we're going to measure from this point downwards. So again, I need to reset that 0 here, create a new guide, make sure it's horizontal, and say 17. And then it's giving us the area now for the main design. So we can see that main design, and we know the proximity to everything else, and where to put the main area of the pattern, the logo, and so on. So I've just added the final couple of guides. Everything's ready now for me to move on to adding the assets and the patterns and so on. So you can move on to the next video.